撃指令任務了解直ちに敵機を撃墜する
Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another review, and today I'm taking a look at the real grade Wing Gundam. Of course, this video right here would not have been possible without those absolutely awesome people over at Hobbylink Japan. So if you want one of your own, there is a link down there in the description, and there's a ton of awesome pre-orders on there now, including the Master Grade Virtue, and every single one of those brand new high grade Gundam Breaker Batlog kits. So once again, link in the description. So as usual with a new release, I'm going to talk a little bit about the build before getting into every single aspect of this review, which is the aesthetics, accessories, and the articulation. This, without a single doubt, is on par with the last few real grade kits that we saw. This is like a mini master grade once again. So even though there is an MS joint in here, it's just two tiny parts. At this point, I'm kind of feeling like these are only included so they don't have to change that blurb about real grade on the front of the box, because otherwise, there's no real point to them. The build on this is extremely nice, and there's some really cool extras to the wing this time that we would never have seen before. We've got a really nice segmented torso, the wings are super segmented, which is a really interesting aspect that is unique as far as I know to this real grade. And as you'd expect with a real grade kit, there are no stickers to be used besides some shiny ones to give it a little bit of extra dimension, and there are some decals in here which I used some of as well. This right here is what the wing looks like once it's completed, and everything in this cup is what I used in order to build this. So I snipped it out with the God Hand as well as this Bandai nipper. I actually didn't really use this file that much, but this is my go-to file I've had for a long time. It's just a basic file. Next up, I use this box cutter style hobby knife for cleaning up all of the undergates. I find it's the easy way to trim them away without either trimming too much away or too little. And lastly then, I did do a little bit of pan lining in black as well as brown with these pour type markers, using this kind of eraser thing to clean it all up. So anyway, jumping into the overview of absolutely everything that comes in the box, and we get quite a bit in here. That of course is the Wing Gundam TV version itself. I will mention the stand that it's standing on is not included, but it probably could do with one because it tends to fall over. As for the weapons, we get the Buster Rifle, a single beam saber, but we do get two blades in here. We've got Wing's Shield and a multitude of hands, that is hands for holding on to the Buster Rifle, a hand for holding on to the beam saber, widespread dynamics, and we've got a pair of clenched fists attached onto Wing right there. Second to last in here, we do have a base adapter, and finally then is the big old sheet of real grade style stickers. So that is what we get in the box. Let's check out the Wing Gundam itself first. So anyway, jumping right on into the aesthetics with that full 360-degree spin. Once again, I will mention the stand does not come with this particular real grade, but I highly advise getting one if you are getting this, because this cannot stand up on its own, and it definitely can't fly around on its own. But as for the aesthetics on this, and I will throw up the TV version of Wing, the original art on the right-hand side so you can see, and of course this has been extremely modernized, which is the idea behind real grade. Real grade is essentially what a mobile suit is meant to look like if it existed in reality, and this looks phenomenal. They really took the flashiness of Wing and dialed it up very elegantly, I might add. We've got everything you want aesthetically from a real grade here. All the detail, two shades of white, fantastic color separation, some decent decals here and there, as well as those shiny little decals. In case you're not seeing those shiny decals, the only ones I've applied are below the yellow sections on the shoulders, the yellow circle things basically. But yeah, this thing is phenomenal looking. Let's take a closer look. So now jumping in for a closer look, and I have to say, I am blown away by this. This is so impressive. There's so much to say about this, and at the same time, it's pretty much what you would expect from Bandai's real grade at this point. This silhouette looks fantastic. This is exactly what I would expect the Wing Gundam to look like in reality, and pretty much what I saw on the screen way back when in the 90s, when this particular Gundam broke the West. So the color separation right here is what you'd expect from a real grade once again, and that is fantastic. We've got the two shades of white, which this time around almost seems to be an almost warmish white and a cool white, so they reflect off each other in a very unique kind of way. We've got sandwich parts that come through from the underlayers. This is even on the bottom of the feet, up on the wings, all over the armor, giving that multi-layered, multi-faceted, mechanical look that we love from real grades. Of course, there are no color correcting stickers in this box because once again it's a real grade, but we do have some stickers. Some are decals, some are fitted to the surfaces like up on the shoulders, some are not. The vast majority are small squares, which to me is disappointing because these do stand out a little bit more than ones that are fitted to areas and kind of hide their edges. But the ones that are cool are very, very cool. There are some foil stickers in here as well in green. These are for covering over the lenses. I did not use them because there is clear green parts in this kit. However, I did use the one for the chest sensor because the chest sensor on this kit, the sticker for that goes under the chest sensor to kind of reflect the light forward. And it looks awesome. On top of that, this kit is rocking some nice sharp angles. Of course, this is a real grade sort of thing because there is always safety nubs on high grade. So we've got some nice pointy shoulders and a very beautiful pointy V-fin. The head on this looks phenomenal. We've got color separated Vulcans, color accurate camera up in the head. Of course, you do need stickers for the eyes, but there are options to use just the black outline. And there's just something about the wings head, that big old pointy, simple V-fin matched with those kind of ear-like segments on the side. I adore it. Looks good. The plastic on this has a nice little mix of semi-matte and very high gloss, which really does give it a very premium vibe. Once again, very real grade and also almost like a small high resolution. And if that was not cool enough, the wings split on this to give a brand new kind of almost feathered look to the TV version of Wing. Of course, if you don't like this, you don't have to do it, but this is so cool. Before this was announced, this is not something I ever thought they'd do. So now moving on to the size comparisons, there it is side by side with their real grade Oryx 78-2, and these are about the same size. As far as I know, Wing is meant to stand a little bit shorter than the Oryx 78-2, but they're pretty much the same size. So moving on with this size comparisons, and we've got Wing EW and Wing Zero Custom EW. And yeah, without a doubt, the TV version is standing taller than both of those. And just in case you happened across this video just wondering which wing you want to get in real grade, this one, this one, this one. This is like a mini master grade. These have pre-built inner frames and just don't hold up over time. This may or may not, it's hard to tell, but you're pretty much guaranteed that it is. Next up then, we've got the full shelf presence test, and as you'd expect from a real grade, it won't dominate a shelf, especially one with master grades and perfect grades by any means, but it still does quite well for something so small. The wings help, the really stand out color combination helps too. Sure, it is the standard Gundam colors, but the wing has a very special layout. Next up there it is side by side with the real grade Sazabi, about half the size of it almost. Next up there it is beside the biggest and potentially the best real grade Gundam around, the real grade New Gundam. And finally some photo opportunities with some other 1/44th scale kits. First up we've got it with a bunch of re-rising kits and Build Divers 2. Next up there it is with a bunch of hero suits, including the Proto Zero in the back there, so once again it is standing a little taller than your average wing. Next up there it is beside some Universal Sentry suits from large to small, and once again, this is not as small as I expected to be. Finally then down into the bottom dirty corner with the Zeeks, and yeah, I guess that's it. On to the accessories. Anyways, always jump back to the beginning of the video like we normally do, and here is the real grade Wing Gundam TV version with absolutely everything that it comes with. Now let's check it all out. So breaking the usual review tradition a little bit by starting off with the base adapter. Well, mainly because this thing doesn't stand up, but this attaches onto an Action Base 5. It may attach onto other ones, but this is the one I'm finding it attaches onto the best. As for attaching Wing onto the adapter, it just slides down onto it with a very nice hold, so this is not gonna fall off. So first up in here we've got the iconic Wing Gundam's Buster Rifle. Now this looks phenomenal. The color separation is fantastic. We've got a brownish gray, a light gray, yellow, a green piece, clear green I should say, inside of the sight, and this just looks great. This attaches in the usual sandwich style hand kind of way, and when it is attached into the Wing Gundam, it is solid and will not go anywhere. Also, one cool aspect about this, we do have a little bit of a pull gimmick here to allow you to remove the ammunition cartridges, which is a really cool little feature. I will also mention, I'm not sure what I said earlier on about the hands for holding onto this, but this can only be held onto with one right hand because that's all that's included. Next up in here we have the shield, and this is fantastic. It looks so good. We've got multiple layers of plastic, grey, white, red, clear green in the front bird eye section. I will mention, however, that the little kind of shark finny part towards that end the pointy business end, I had to glue this in. It would just not stay in place whatsoever. It was such a big loss risk that I was just, well, I glued it in. But besides that, it is pretty cool. It attaches onto the arm in the usual way, which is into the back of the forearm. We've got some rotation and a hinge to move that around, and we do have that splitting break in the middle for storing the beam saber. And speaking of the beam saber, next up in here we've got the beam sabers, like I mentioned earlier on. 2 blades, 1 handle, because the wing only had 1 beam saber. The beam sabers attach into either the left or right beam saber holding hand in the sandwich style fashion. Once you've got it attached, it'll look like this, and the green here, just like the clear green in this kit, but especially on the beam sabers, really catches the light. These are those kind of beam sabers that like filter the light through them in such a fantastic way, in a kind of almost fiber optic kind of way that you got a big old bright spot up top. These are nice beams. When not in use, then you can split that shield open, pop in the beam saber, and store it inside, which is fantastic. As for the optional hands we have in here, like we saw already, we've got a pair of fists, and as well as that then, we've got a pair of wide spread dynamic hands. Pretty cool set of hands in this kit. So now moving on to the final part of the review, which is the articulation, and as you'd expect, it is great with this kit. I'm going to be spending this segment only talking about the articulation that relates to mobile suit mode, mobile suit, and we'll talk about the parts that transform later on. So at the neck, the real grade wing has a ball joint up top and a hinge down bottom, so not too bad. Bandai has added a joint which is becoming one of my favorite Gundam joints around, and that is the entire chest moving as part of the arm movement. So that means we get a whole lot out of the back like this, and we've got a fantastic joint in the shoulder as well, which gives us a whole lot out to the front. Once again, fantastic, just look at that. Just popping out that chest part, and there's a whole lot going on in here. There's multiple joints just inside this side of chest. Fantastic. The shoulder armor moves separate to the arm, which is very, very nice. The spin at the shoulder is just a peg into a hole, but it's the full 360. There's the arm all the way up, which isn't too bad, and all the way down. One of the things that kind of irks me a bit about wing kits is that little talon section on the forearm. The reason is because it tends to block the elbow bend. So that is what we get for the elbow bend right there. We have the full 360 spin at the upper arm, and as for the wrist, it's a ball joint, but not just any ball joint. You can push this in to lock it into position, just like so, or pull it out to get that articulation. Once again, awesome. Well, there is a little bit of a kind of mechanism here for part of the transformation. Maybe I can move the talon out of the way. Not so much. Hey, look, it's real grade Shenlong. As if. Wing keeps on impressing by actually squeezing an ab crunch into that diminutive frame. It doesn't have much to the back, but quite a bit to the front. There is no real side to side in the actual waist, but we have some down inside the waist unit, which allows it to rock side to side. Again, fantastic. And finally, we've got a little bit of a rotation, but not the full 360. So moving down to the skirting armors now, and the front skirts are on ball joints, but these are loose. Well, not loose, they just kind of shoot off if you pull them up too high. That's the same on both sides. As for the side skirting armor, we've got rotation on a ball joint, and these can pull out like so. Again, these can tend to pop off, not as much as the front skirts. Inside, we've got a very nice joint as part of the transformation, and if we flip it around to the back, we do have a very premium up and down moving butt flap. Inside of the waist unit, we do have a dropping hip section, which is very, very nice, but this does feel a little bit on the delicate side, so be careful. That can move down like so, and up like this. As for the kicks now, there's the kick all the way up to the front, which is about parallel to the ground. Out to the back is what we would usually get from a kit, so not so bad. And can we pull off the full splits with the wing? Yes, we most certainly can. Next up then, the knee bend. This is pretty good, so it's double jointed. There's probably more going on in here because we've got this little flappy, and this is a transforming suit, but so far, not too bad. Next up, let's check out what the ankle can do on the ground. So there it is, pivoting all the way to the front, and that is not bad at all. Pivoting out to the back, and this is even better. This is one graceful looking kit. It kind of is like a fairy or a figure skater or something like that. We've got a pivot side to side, which is not too bad. It's not the greatest around, but then again, wing is meant to be up in the sky, not down on the ground. And finally, then we do have a pointing toe. Once again, this is part of the transformation, but always looks nice up in the air. Finally then, round to the wings, and we saw these split apart earlier on. These have a whole lot of segments that just split apart ever so nicely. They have a little bit of a locking mechanism inside of them that's simple but effective. And as for what we have here that we haven't seen already, these can move up as far as here, which is pretty good, and then swing all the way back as far as here. So yeah, these wings are awesome, expressive, and very poseable. So as for the articulation on the real grade wing TV, this is outstanding. Sure, we do have a couple of letdowns here and there, but there is a transformation in here as well, and you'd never notice because it is so solid. The only real letdowns are the fact that the ankles could pivot inwards a little bit more, and the front skirting armor does like to shoot off every now and then, but these are tiny little concerns. Besides that, phenomenal. So lastly then, on to the transformation, and as usual I'm doing it for my first time ever on camera so I can remember if it was difficult or not. And I can tell you it was not difficult, but it was thoroughly enjoyable, and this, for the first time ever, well, maybe the second, well, definitely the first actually, time ever, I've enjoyed the transformation of a wing Gundam. I liked the transformation on the Wing Ver-Ka, the brand new big feathery Wing Ver-Ka, but this feels a little more streamlined, easier and solid than that particular transformation, and it looks really cool. The new style wings all flared out look awesome, and everything is so seamless. There's a lot of nice technical aspects to this, like the way the shoulders slide or the way the knees all open up to make sure they can't turn, well, backwards or crooked in the knee when you're not transforming it. There's got some flaps and stuff and everything in here. Honestly, mind-blowing, awesome and solid. We also have a little landing gear in the butt flap right here, which I didn't even notice while building this thing. The build is so simple that it's actually surprising how many little awesome shifting, sliding, and moving gimmicks are in here. Phenomenal. So anyway, that right there is it for the review, and it's getting harder and harder and harder to rank real grade kits, mainly because they keep getting better, and my tiering system is based off the average feel of a mobile suit, or should I say, a mobile suit model kit. For example, right now we've got a fairly good idea of what you'd expect from, say, a high grade or a master grade. So what I'd expect would get a silver tier, and then above that if it's better than average, and below that if it's worse than average. But real grade keeps on giving. That way it's hard to make anything Gundarium tier anymore. So this right here is platinum tier, and platinum tier is 5 out of 5 in my book. I really do need to change the icons to actually represent that, but that's what it means to me. Gundarium tier means it's elevated to something else. This feels like recent real grades done perfectly. There's nothing to complain about besides maybe some flying front skirting armors. As always, there's a link down there in the description if you do want one of your own. Right now there is a whole lot of awesome kits up for pre-order on Hobbylink if you want to check those out too so you don't miss out. As always, make sure to come back for more gunpla reviews, and I will be seeing you next time. As always, thank you so much for watching. Without you guys, all of this would not be possible, these videos would not be possible, and special thanks to those helping out over on Patreon and on the channel memberships, including Mr. Winter, Joseph Kuklak, Tito Lewis, Gunpla Chef, Bakito Official, Van Fawn, Sean T, Caleb Engelhardt, Brian Perez, Tyler Sanders, and Craig Jerry.